Hi, love bunnies. I hope you guys are all doing so well. Welcome back to the beauty house. As you can tell by the title, we are gonna be going over brushes today, hence brushes breakdown. Now, these brushes are from the video Inside the Beauty House Kit Series episode 1. If you have not watched it yet, make sure you go and check it out. It will be in the description. But I told you guys I will be breaking down the brushes that I believe are essential for yourself or for your kit. These are just a few. So I said, you know what? Let me do a breakdown for you, which is this video. So if you would like to see all the brushes that I think are essential for yourself or your kit, just keep watching. So this is the brushes that I had in my Inside the Beauty House Kit Series episode 1. And in this, I told you it is 18-piece brush set. So we are going to go through each of them. It shouldn't really take too long, but it's going to take as long as it needs to for you guys to get it, understand it, and see the whole reason as to why you need these brushes and why you don't have to go out, one, spend thousands of dollars on brushes just yet if you're starting out, and two, you don't need thousands of brushes to complete a look. Okay, so brush number 1. This is a round slanted brush. Now, we look at the shape of it. It has a slant. So this brush you can utilize for foundation or powder, but if you use it for powder, you have to be extremely light. These are, I would classify this as being dense. Dense means it's greatly compacted. So with this brush, I would personally use it for foundation. And you want to, if you utilize it for foundation, you're going to put the foundation on the back of your hand or your palette. Just going to blend it in so it's evenly distributed on the bristles. And then you're just going to pat it in and work it into the face. So you're pretty much doing a buffing motion. Now, because of the curvature of it, it should be able to comfortably get the hollows and get the curvature of the face. So that's what I would use this brush for. Again, this is the rounded slant brush number 2. The next brush, also a face brush, is going to be the angled flat kabuki brush. So this is it. Again, it has an angle to it and it's flat. It's still dense, but it's flat. Pretty much you could utilize it for the same exact thing for your foundation or a cream contour. And again, because of the slant, you would still be able to, again, get into the crevices that you need to. So this is what I would utilize this for. Is dense, but is not as tightly compacted as the first brush that I just showed you, but because it's loose enough to have enough give. So pretty much does the same exact thing, but again, this is loosely dense, if that makes sense. The next face brush, I'm just picking at random. There's no like real order. It just happened to be the face brushes because the face brushes are the more dominant ones. Now this is an angled blush brush. If you can see, it tapers off and it has that curve. Now, I personally don't really utilize this brush too much for blush, right? I would assume that they have it to be a blush brush because if you look, it goes into the hollows of the cheek pretty much where you would place your brush, right? So you would dip it into your powder and then you would tap it. That's how I would use it, right? But if you wanted to do something a little different, because again, you don't have to do what the brush says it's for. You could utilize it for other things, right? So me personally, sometimes if I'm not filming and I did my makeup, I would utilize this brush for contour. And I would because, again, of the curvature, it comfortably gets to any area that I needed to get to because of the angle of it. It still has a nice angle. It's not too big of a brush. It's not too small of a brush, but it's the right size for me for contour if you didn't only want to utilize it for your blush. So again, brushes aren't just for what it says it's for. Brushes are pretty much tools to get done whatever it is that you need to get done. That's really it. And sometimes you might have to pivot. Sometimes you're gonna have to do with what you got, you know? So that's how I would utilize that, but also what it's for. The next face brush happened to be a tapered highlight brush. Now, this brush I absolutely love, because the shape of it is also tapered, like a dome shape. This brush, I personally think, and I utilize it as a multi-purpose brush. I do have one in my own set of brushes. Because of the shape, you could use it for underneath the eye. Like if you set your powder to bake, you could utilize it to like blend it in or like sweep it away. Or you could use it again for blush. You're gonna dab it into your product, dab it into your hand, and then just lightly place, because if you see, it still goes perfectly with the hollows or the shape of your face, right? Or you could do as it says for highlight. With the same thing, I would just utilize pretty much the tip of the brush, and then just a little bit, you're just gonna dab right there, pretty much where I have my highlight. You're gonna dab it there. And funnily enough, like I said, I do have this brush in my set of brushes, so I did actually use this brush for highlight. So again, you want your brushes to be multi-purpose if possible. So again, I just gave you 3 different ways that you can utilize this one brush. And again, the bristles is soft, is flexible, right? Is able to do what you need it to do. So that's that brush. Another face brush. At this point, we're gonna do face brushes and then eye brushes. Another face brush. This is the Pro Powder Brush. Now, this pretty much is just a bigger version of this little brush, and it kind of does the same thing. Now, for me, they do have face, which are powder brushes, bigger than this, which I have one, but it's humongous. But these brushes are good for, I would say, loose setting powder. So how you would use that, whatever setting powder you have, loose or pressed, just gonna sweep it. Of course, we're always gonna dab off the excess. We don't want too much. And then we're just gonna go around the whole face. Now, because this is big, I would not use this for contour for me. My face is a little bit small, so it probably might be a little bit harsh. So like I said, I would use this for what it says, for a powder brush. Again, you're gonna take whatever powder product you have, whether it's pressed or loose. Again, you're gonna take it, dust off the excess, and then you're just gonna powder your face. So you're gonna all over setting, pretty much what this is used for. Or if you needed to do something, say for the body, again, same thing, around the décolletage, around the neck, like that. So if I had to bronze, say, someone's body or something like that, then I would possibly use this, because it takes up more surface area and it'll get the job done faster. One of my favorite brushes that I just discovered is a favorite brush for me. Besides the other 2 foundation brushes, we have the Slope foundation brush. Again, has that same curvature. Now, they have these in different sizes. I do have another one. It's a little bit bigger, but I don't have it in this one because I just wanted to show you guys this specific brush set. So I didn't put that one in this one. I just discovered this when I did someone's makeup. I love this brush because, one, they have different sizes of this brush, so you can get them bigger. But this brush, because of the slope, just like the other ones, it hugs the face so beautifully. So you would take your creams or your liquid foundation, and then you're just gonna sweep in motions, right? This is how I would use it. I would use this to apply. So I'm just gonna swipe down, and then for a more buffed look, I would take one of my other face brushes, whether the kabuki or say this flat one, and then I'm just gonna stipple it in. Doing that little combo, that is gonna give you an airbrush look. Now, this brush could possibly do that, but in my mind, when I'm envisioning, I would use this more so for placement and use this to buff in. Now, if I wanted a contour, I would also utilize this for a cream contour, because again, the shape of it, it's gonna get the hollows how I need it to and buff it into my hairline. It's gonna get the hollows of my cheek, and it's a perfect shape, and get it into where I need it to get into for cream. But again, this is not as tightly compact, so the bristles are loose enough to curve and get to exactly where I need to get it. So that's how I would utilize this brush. Again, using it in multiple ways if I can, right? And also, because this is a smaller version, if you wanted to, you could also apply your cream blush if you wanted to, Or again, you could flip it to use this tip part only, and then now get your highlight under there. This is why I say you don't need to have 1,000 pieces of brushes. This is only 18 brushes, but thus far I showed you multiple ways to use each brush thus far, right? So you don't have to think you need to be pressured into getting every single brush out there, because again, it's some brushes you probably would never even use, you know, and you want to be cost effective. That's why I'm trying to always give out content where it's cost effective, right? And actually spend your coin where you need to spend your coin. Now, don't ever get it twisted. There are amazing brushes out there. Some brushes do cost what they cost because of the quality, but if you can get it where you don't have to spend as much right now, if you're starting, go with the better option and the most inexpensive option for right now, because there are terrible brushes out there, and I'm going to be very honest with you. That comes with trial and error, but that's why I want to give this video to you guys. So this is one on Amazon. I'm going to put it in the description, most likely. So again, you guys could check it out. And like I said, I actually like this brand so much that I brought my own set of my own brushes from the same exact brand for me personally, because I truly like this brand. So now another face brush. This is a mini round slant brush. So this is pretty much like the same thing, but a smaller version. Honey, this blends out concealer like a dream. Because of the slope domed shape, it gets perfectly underneath the eye, right? Again, that tip there and the slant, that's like the perfect shape to get your eye socket. So you're just gonna blend it out. You're gonna put your concealer however you put it, and then this, you're just gonna blend it out. Blend it, blend it, blend it. So again, I use the brush like this to do my concealer today. We're gonna blend that out. And again, the tip of it, if you need to flip it, just flip that part. Get close to the inner eye as you can. Blends like a dream, an absolute dream. I wouldn't use this for anything else thus far that I can think of. Possibly a liquid highlight, because again, of the shape and it's small enough. Maybe a liquid highlight. And again, just the top, just top it off that way. This, I promise you, a dream. A dream. Now, I think we have one more. This is a concealer brush. This is flat. Just really flat of a brush. Now, this pretty much is the perfect shape in my opinion. So if you was doing your eyebrows, you want to scope underneath your eyebrows with your concealer, it has that perfect shape to it. Or actual concealer, because sometimes, say if this brush is possibly a little bit too big, you could use this first to place the concealer to where you want it to be. It gets close enough to the eye duct, right? Then you would take this brush, if you want to do a two-step, a little buffed out look, gonna just pat it in. So if you want to do that little two-step combo, works perfectly. Then we have a nose shader. Now this is new to me. For my nose contour, I just use any fluffy brush. It could be an eyeshadow brush, a face brush, any brush that's fluffy I use for my contour. But this is a new one that came in this kit, is a nose contour sloped. Me personally, I will utilize just the tip of this, because that most likely will get perfectly right there. Now, you could use this for powder or liquid or cream. Honestly speaking, if you guys watch my videos, I never cream contour my nose. I just use powder. I honestly never tried utilizing cream or anything. Maybe I might, we'll see. But again, for me, I would use this, just the tip part, dust it in my powder, and then just right there, because it hugs the curvature, and just blend it out beautifully. That's how I would utilize this brush. Then now, these are now brought onto our eye brushes. My apologies, because like the heater is just kicking in and I didn't wear my mic today. But you guys, it's okay. We gonna get past it. Now, this is a domed blender brush. Now, if you look, it is domed shape and it's fluffy. The bristles are loose. Now with these, because it's bigger, you always want a domed blender. The good thing about this, it blends out like a dream. It buffs. So pretty much if you was using a transition color or you just want it to blend and have just smooth lines, you use a big brush like this. You're just gonna, whatever your curvature, and you're just gonna buff out any color that's placed there, and it's gonna blend it out seamlessly. Just blend. When you are utilizing your tools, especially when it comes to eyeshadow brushes, you don't want to have it too close here, because now the bristles aren't doing what it's supposed to do. The brushes are supposed to work for you, okay? So you're gonna have your hand back, so now you could just zoll in the wrist, right? So then now you just buff in circular motions, or windshield wiper, depending on the look, depending on your eye shape. Then that's when you choose either you're gonna do little buffing or the windshield wiper motion, okay? But all in all, this is to blend out, so it gives that buff, clean look, okay? Also, sometimes if I can't really find a brush, just want to do what I want to do, I'll use this for a little bit for highlight, just buff it, because it's still small enough to get exactly what I need it to get, or the middle, same thing, right? And honey, I get a bang for my buck with my brushes, okay? You ain't telling me nothing. Now we have the smudge shader brush. Now, a smudge brush is pretty much what it says, gonna smudge. But because of the shape and it's tightly like this, it's gonna be more precise. So say if you could see like the darker part that I have, like the darker burgundy and brown, I use the brush like this to get close to the lash line and just smudge exactly that, so it doesn't go anywhere else but where I need it to go. So I would more so use this closer to my lash line to smudge if I want it to be more specific. Or you could use it if you want, like, you see like my little pop of color in here, you could utilize that because it gets right there close enough to add a little color there if you need it there. Or also you could use it and just place your shadow, just a tiny bit if you wanted to. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit precise to place your shadow. So again, multiple ways to use this, but this for the most part is smudges it out, and it's more precise because it's not so loose. This is real stiff, so it's not too loose as this blending brush. This bristles is loose and flexible, so it gives you a blend. This is more precise of a brush, okay? Then we also have a universal blender. This is a little bit smaller. So again, it blends as well, but this is smaller. I personally say that this is more for a specific, like if you wanted, say, to put a color, if you want it specific, like right in the corner here, then you would use this. You're gonna pick up your product, have it right, place it where you want it to be, but still blend it. So it's not gonna blend everywhere how this would, where it, like, I guess you could say diffuse the color. This is more specific to me, and then you would just blend it to where you need it in that particular area where you placed it, but still a blending brush nonetheless. You cannot have enough blending brushes in your kit, I promise you, because the key to good eyeshadow besides placement is you blending. Only when you blend things is gonna look seamless. So you always want to have a good amount of blending brushes, or know how to utilize the ones that you have. So again, it's more specific for that, where you want to place it and buff it in. Or you could also use it, you see how I have it underneath here. Most likely I use a brush like this, or even a brush like this, and just take it and just sweep it. And it's gonna get that smoky look that you want. So that was a universal blending brush. Then we have the eye shader. Now, this is fluffy as well. Now, I would utilize this to apply just regular pigment onto the top of my eyelid. If you don't have another brush, you could use that for this, in my opinion. Or again, because it's fluffy, you could blend with this as well. But this is not going to be as diffused as the other brush. This is going to keep it exactly where it's at, just like the brush prior, just like the universal. It's going to do the same thing, but it also is loose enough to where you can blend with this. Is why it's called a shader brush. Again, you could use it for underneath to get this little color I have here. You could use that for underneath, or like I said, you could use it to place the color on the lid, or again, more specifically to blend. Again, more precise, because these are a little bit tighter, so this would get you a precise blend wherever you place it. So that is the eye shader brush, We're almost done. It's 18, but we're almost done. It's so crazy. Then we have a tapered blender. Kind of similar to the dome, but if you look, this comes to a little bit more of a point, a little bit tighter of a point. This brush is your best friend when it comes to blending anything out. It's so loose. Like this, the other one prior to, just like the dome shader. These are the perfect pair. Promise you. Perfect pair for any kind of blending. If you have only these two brushes to buff out and diffuse, you set. These, a dream together. Same thing, because it's domed. This now more so you could place it where you want to, but still is gonna still buff it the way that this one would. So again, you also could pick up pigment, like I said, with it, place it where you need to, and buff it however you need to buff it out. A dream. These two, perfect pair, I promise you. Then we have our pencil blender brush. This is the same as the smudge brush, you could say, but again, what makes it a pencil is the shape of it. That's why it's called a pencil shader. Same thing, if you want, you could get like the corner of the eyes. For me, how I did mine, I have one like this, so I utilize this right in the corner because you see it fits there perfectly in the corner if you want to add a little razzle dazzle there. Or again, smudge. But this, again, just like the other smudge brush, is closer to the lash line. So it gets it right underneath there where you need to get to. And again, it's smudge. If you do art, if you are like a artist who use brushes or pencils, if you think about it, the brushes are pretty much the same. Like if you go into an art store, 9 times out of 10, the brushes are exactly the same as a makeup artist brush. I promise you. But yeah, you guys would know a pencil blender brush does exactly what it does. It blends because it's so tightly compacted and it's small and short bristles. It's gonna be very precise. So again, in the little inner corner, like I said, I do it, or just really close to the waterline. Then we have our angled liner or brow blush. So this, as it says, it's angled. So now angled brushes, there are different types of angled brushes, because the one that I use for my eyebrows, it's fluffier. It's angled but fluffier because, again, I'm picking up powder. This, I can see how it's for liner in your brows, but because it says angled liner, then because of the bristles, is more so better for your, like the creamier products like the brow pomades or gel eyeliner. You want it to be thin. A thin brush like this would be best for your liner. You don't want a fluffy angled brush for your liner. You're gonna look crazy and challenge yourself. And I like an easy life, okay? So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna get the tools that matter. So a brush like this that's thin, right? You see how thin that is? You want it to be thin. That means your liner is gonna be impeccable. Sometimes you also want it to be a little stiff because it helps with angling out your eyeliner. So this is your angled eyeliner and brow brush. And you can use either or. Then last, but almost and definitely not least, we have 2 more brushes. One is your fine eyeliner brush. See how fine that is? Now, kind of the same thing if you're a little bit of a pro and just prefer just how this one applies better. You're just going to use this, put in whatever your cream is, and then just going to line it. As a makeup artist, they do have disposable ones like this. And I used this the other day on someone. Surprisingly, I actually liked it. But yep, same thing. You want it to be thin. You want a thin brush like this when it comes to your liner because it allows you to build your eyeliner. It starts thin and then you could build it whatever thickness you want. So this is also, I would say, you don't have to have it in your kit because they make disposable ones, but it's also a plus. So, you know. And then, last but not least, I know we went through 18 so quickly. This is your spoolie. This says mascara, but this is your spoolie. I wouldn't use this for mascara, me personally, because if you're working on someone, you want to have disposables. You're not about to use this and keep cleaning. We don't got time for that. We're going to use disposables. Either way, I would use it not for mascara. I would use this for when I'm doing brows. So just to brush up your brows. Usually, I know I have one or two that has the dual. So it would have this brush along with the angle brush. So it will be a dual brush. It will kind of look like one side would have this on it, then the next side would have this. So I have one of those. That's also better, but they happen to separate it. So either way, nonetheless, it still does what it does. Again, I wouldn't use this one for mascara on anyone, on myself. I would use this more so to brush up my eyebrows or to apply wax to the brows, and then just have it, and then you brush it, you apply it, and let it do what it do. So I hope I didn't go through that too fast. But that was the 18 brush set that I have, that I utilize in my kit. Like I said, I'm going to see if I'm able to put the link in the description below. I know that was so quick, but I hope it was informational. I hope it was informative. And I hope you guys, again, learned something. And you don't have to spend top dollar right now for your brushes, for quality brushes. You know, there are some quality brushes where you don't have to spend your whole life savings on. And if I'm able to test anything out and help you and let you guys know, I definitely always will. Now, like I said, I do have my own set of brushes for myself where some are different from these. And if you guys would like to see my brushes that I have, that I utilize, I would have no issues sharing that with you guys. If you did like this makeup look, I do have the video of me doing it on my page. And honey child, I have a story time for you. That one is entitled A Mauve Reversed Smoky Eye. And I know that's a look that a lot of people don't even do anymore or consider. So I said, hey, why not? Let me just show you guys what a reversed smoky eye is. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me. Thank you so much for taking the time to share a part of your day with me. I hope I taught you something. I hope I entertained you. I hope I gave you some tips and tricks to utilize to help you being the makeup artist that you are, or aspiring makeup artist. Thank you guys so much. As I always say, the true foundation of beauty starts from within. Makeup is just the cherry on top. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed. Have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world. I love you so much. Thank you. And I will see you again next time. Mwah.